How you doing?
Good. And Khaled, how are you?
Good, good. All ready for the long weekend?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, if you can
Every
call it
every
that.
day of the week sort of blurs together right now.
True. So, a whole bunch of questions for you. I'll get right at it. Brampton's opening up February 22nd. I'm assuming it's gray zone. What does that mean for Brampton?
Well, they haven't told us the specifics yet because this is regulated by the province. But it appears like it'll go back to how it was before the lockdown. So it's not like everything's going to be open again. There's still going to be restrictions. But it looks like, and what's encouraging is that they're going to try to level the playing field between small businesses and the big box stores. So it'll be 25% capacity in each, which is something that we've been expressing frustration on throughout the lockdown. You know, how can you have these crowded big box stores given a provincial exemption when you got these small businesses that sell the same goods? And frankly, we're never crowded. And so I'm glad that this is starting to be reconciled. And you know, it's encouraging. The numbers are coming down. And so I do think Brampton and Peel Region are in a much better position than we were a few months ago.
Are you worried that kind of the schools are opening, businesses are opening on the coldest month of the year with the new variants? Are you worried that things, might get back to lockdown?
Well, you know, I trust the physicians, I trust the science, I trust the data, and right now we're hearing from our top medical advisors that it's safe for kids to go back to school. They said that the very first reopening should be schools, and the last to close should be schools. That children should be in class learning, and when public health is saying that, when sick kids hospital is saying that, I think that's compelling. Ultimately, that's not a municipal decision, it's the decision of the province of Ontario, but I support the recommendation that public health has made to the province that it's good to have kids back into school, with a caveat that we have to have testing and PPE and the appropriate precautions to protect our educators.
You mentioned before that small businesses will be allowed to open 25% capacity. Is the city of Brampton doing anything to help them in regards to getting the word out, or just getting more people into the stores? Well, I guess outside the stores.
Yeah, we've been running support local campaigns, but once again, this isn't official yet. This is just a provincial estimate. We're still waiting on this announcement, so there's not much promotion you can do on the new rules, given the fact the new rules haven't actually been announced. They've given an estimate that they expect Toronto and Peel and York will be released on the 22nd from lockdown to gray zone, but until that's announced, we are continuing to be in a holding pattern.
The last 8 weeks, I've asked you exactly the same question about sick pay. Any word on that?
There hasn't been movement yet on sick pay from the government of Canada or from the province of Ontario. I would say, I've had talks about this week with both the federal and provincial governments, and it's a broken system. The Canadian Recovery Sickness Benefit, it pays less than minimum wage. It takes 2 to 3 months, so it doesn't work for someone living paycheck to paycheck. And I've tried to express that to the province on why they need to really come to the table with the federal government to find a solution. I think the challenge on this is both levels of government think the current benefit works, and it doesn't.
I talked to Stan Cho this week, and there seems to be a little bit of momentum in regards to getting a hospital here, like a realistic kind of March, hopefully in the budget line item. Do you feel that too?
So Stan Cho is, I believe, the parliamentary secretary to the Minister of Finance. So that's encouraging. What I would say is the Premier Ford has promised us that we're going to get a new hospital. In terms of timing, he says he's going to work on it as quickly as possible. We're taking him at his word that new hospital is coming. It's long overdue. Frankly, it should have been announced 15 years ago. But we're going to continue to push, and the response has been encouraging at Queen's Park. But until I see it announced, until I see the shovels in the ground, we're going to keep the pressure up.
Should name it the Patrick Brown Hospital or the Health Center when it opens. So.
No, it's about the people,
Yeah.
and that hospital is long overdue. And I have to say, one of the reasons we have momentum is because everyone is pushing forward. City council may have been vocal in our support for a healthcare crisis and the need for a hospital. But one thing I find amazing is from senior groups to school children, everyone has been saying Brampton needs a new hospital. And so when we get this hospital, it's going to be a win for the community, because we did not accept inadequate care. We did not accept the fact that Brampton should have less healthcare hospital beds per capita than other cities. And there's real unity in the community towards this.
Any tickets handed out by the enforcement this week, or do you know of any big box stores that got ticketed?
Well, the big box stores are exempt under the provincial regulations, and so it's very difficult for them to get a ticket because they're allowed to be open. But in terms of other tickets, there was one Super Bowl party, a small one, I think 8 or 9 people that got ticketed, but overall there continues to be a high degree of compliance.
Okay. I'm going to get off COVID right now. We understand there's about 30 potential cannabis stores proposed for Brampton. Is the city getting a lot of complaints that there's too many? And I guess how much is too much as far as cannabis stores?
So I supported a motion from Councillor Harkirat Singh that there should be a cap. He suggested a cap of 5 cannabis stores per city. And I supported that. It lost. That motion lost a close vote, 6-5. I suspect he'll try again at some point. But understanding that the government of Canada, Prime Minister Trudeau, has legalized marijuana, the province of Ontario has entered the framework, and they provide municipalities with funding to shut down the legal dispensaries. I'm not naive to think that this is going to be revisited. They're not going to legalize marijuana. That ship has. They're not going to make it illegal. That ship has sailed. And so we just now need to find a system that works, that keeps this substance away from young people, away from vulnerable communities. And we're going to continue our advocacy to make sure we have some municipal discretion over the location of these establishments.
In regards to the locations, what do you object to in regards to proposed cannabis store? Is like schools?
Yeah, I'd like to have a greater level of discretion over how far they can be to students or children. Additionally, I don't want there to be a block where it's a bunch of cannabis stores. You see that with some of the payday loan locations. The notion that there could be a municipal limit seems appropriate.
Handmaid's Tale was filmed in Brampton. Literally dozens of people messaged us. What do you think of that? And are there any other movies you can tell us about that are being filmed in Brampton?
So there's been a lot of film production in Brampton. It's actually quite exciting. It seems every few weeks you hear about another film production. These are jobs. It's an economic development initiative, and we try to be very supportive. We've got a staff member that works on this full time out of City Hall to help with permits and finding locations. Just a few weeks ago we had Kevin Hart, doing a scene at the downtown GO station. In terms of Handmaid's Tale, they've got a long history in Brampton. The famous season finale was actually shot in Brampton as well, and so the fact they continue to do a lot of production out of Brampton is fantastic. It's actually one of the shows that my wife and myself enjoy watching, so we can't wait to watch the next season.
Yes. Is there any other movies and TV shows that you can tell us about, or are they kind of like hush-hush?
No, there's been a Titans. There's been a different Marvel productions. There has been a lot of TV and movie production in Brampton, and we hope that it continues. City councillors, we get a briefing regularly on the different productions that are happening, and I would say Canada has become a hotspot for movie productions, and just like Toronto is starting to really benefit with a number of productions, Brampton is as well.
Have you watched The Boys on Prime?
I haven't.
No, okay. A lot of the scenes appeal.
And just after Super Bowl, they had Mike Holmes' show. That was televised in Brampton as well.
Yeah, wasn't Russell Peters on that show too?
He made an appearance.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to airports now. Okay. I know people are listening to what's going on at the airports. Their heads hurting. We put out an article that showed 18 people refused the COVID test, so they got fined $750. But what happened? Do you know what happens to the people after they get fined? Do they, do they go home or do they go to, the quarantine hotel? Sorry, Mayor Brown,
So
did you hear?
this is run by the federal government. Can you hear me now? This is run by the federal government because the airports are federal jurisdiction, but I believe the quarantine is mandatory, and the federal government enforces it.
Okay. I know the $750 ticket comes from the Peel, though, the Peel police.
So the Peel police assist in the enforcement of the federal quarantine,
Okay.
but just like they would any federal law. So there's a federal criminal code, and they help with the enforcement of that. But this is a federal, and airports in particular. Not only is the quarantine act provincial, sorry, the federal, the actual jurisdiction. Airports are federal jurisdictions, so this is something that the government of Canada has jurisdiction over.
Okay. Two positive things to end with. The backyard program is back, correct?
The backyard program is back.
Yeah.
It was a huge success. It was a huge success last year. We had 10,000 people express interest. We had more backyard gardens than ever before. And why not? Brampton's the flower city. And a lot of people donated their excess produce to the food bank. It's great for the environment. It was a home run, and credit to Councillor Doug Willans. This was his brainchild, and he's running with it again this year. And we're hoping to continue to make Brampton more green. It's a great way to support those in need at the same time.
And last thing, the Mayor's New Year's Levee that you're having, I believe, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 11 o'clock. You can go to brampton.ca/levee, and I'm going to drop a hint right here. There are going to be a few celebrities.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a few celebrity appearances. Someone that you just asked me about is actually going to be one of the people dropping by the levee.
Interesting. Okay. I'll clip it, and I'll put it out there. So, Mayor Brown, thank you so much. All right.
Talk to you
Have
soon.
a good long weekend.